Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a huge shift that's happening in the world of marketing. We're talking about the move away from just guessing who your customers are to using actual science to find them. So how do we get here? And maybe more importantly, where is all of this headed? Let's get into it. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You're scrolling through your phone, maybe you were just thinking about a new pair of sneakers, and bam, an ad pops up that seems like it literally read your mind. How on earth does that happen? Well, I can tell you it's not magic, and it's definitely not a coincidence. It's the result of a core marketing idea that's now been supercharged by some seriously powerful technology.
And that whole idea is about finding the marketing bullseye. See, for any business out there, great marketing isn't about reaching the most people possible. No, it's about reaching the right people. And that whole journey starts by defining what's called the ideal customer profile. So what is an ideal customer profile, or ICP, anyway? Well, the best way to think about it is like a super detailed portrait of the absolute perfect customer. Now, this isn't a real person, but a kind of fictional character, a company or an individual, who gets the most possible value from your product and, in turn, provides the most value back to your business. This single profile guides pretty much everything from where you spend ad money to how you develop new products.
Okay, so why is this so incredibly important right now, in 2025? Because let's be honest, we're all drowning in information, and because of that, generic one-size-fits-all marketing is completely dead. A precise ICP lets a company optimize every dollar they spend, create personalized messages that actually connect with you, predict what you might need next, and build a reliable path to growth. If you get this wrong, you're basically just shouting into the void.
To really get a handle on the revolution that's happening, we need to take a quick step back and look at how things used to be done. Let's flip open the old marketing playbook.
For decades, building that customer profile was all based on stuff like demographics, your age, where you live, what your job title is, and on what you told companies in surveys. Marketers would create these really broad personas based on huge assumptions about who people were, not what they were actually doing.
And you can probably guess this old way was fundamentally flawed. For one, the profiles were static. They'd be out of date almost as soon as they were made. They also relied on what people said they did, not what they actually did. And here's the kicker. Your demographic info is often a terrible predictor of what you're going to buy. The whole model is just backward-looking, built on a really shaky foundation of guesswork.
But this is where the game completely changes. Enter AI. And we're not talking about a small upgrade here. This is a full-blown revolution that shifts the entire focus from who customers are to what they actually do.
So how does AI pull this off? Well, it basically has three superpowers. First, it recognizes behavioral patterns by tracking every single click, every download, every interaction you have. Second, it uses all that data to do predictive scoring, figuring out who's ready to buy and, just as importantly, who might be about to leave. And third, it creates these dynamic, hyper-specific microsegments based on your real-time actions and intent, not on static stuff like your job title. All right, let's put these two approaches right next to each other. When you see it side by side, the difference between pure guesswork and true precision becomes crystal clear.
The contrast here is just stark. Where the old way used surveys, the new AI approach uses real-time behavioral data. Where the old way grouped you by job title, the new way groups you by your intent. But for me, the most mind-blowing part is the update frequency. What used to be an annual, maybe quarterly review is now happening in real time, continuously. That is what makes true individual-level personalization possible.
And what does this all mean in the real world? Well, the numbers are pretty staggering. Companies that switch to this AI-powered approach are seeing a 2 to 5 times increase in their conversion rates. Just let that sink in. We're not talking about a 20% bump. We're talking about a potential 500% improvement over the old methods. That's not just an improvement, that's a complete transformation of how a business operates.
And visually, the impact looks something like this. On the left, you've got your typical results from just generic targeting. And over on the right, that's what happens with AI segmentation. The difference isn't small, it's not incremental, it is a quantum leap. This is the tangible result of moving from guesswork to actual behavioral science. And this whole thing, it isn't a one-and-done process. It's a continuous learning cycle. It starts by pulling in data from everywhere, then using AI to find the important patterns. From there, marketers can launch campaigns based on those insights. But here's the crucial part. The loop closes with optimization, constantly watching the results and feeding that data right back into the system to make it even smarter next time.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? What does it mean for businesses and for us as consumers? Let's zoom out and look at the big picture.
There's a quote from our source material that just nails this shift perfectly. It says, "The future of customer understanding lies not in better demographic data, but in behavioral intelligence." AI doesn't just tell us who our customers are, it reveals how they think, what they value, and when they're ready to buy. It's all about understanding the how and the why, not just the who.
And that leaves us with a fascinating and maybe a little provocative question to chew on. As this technology gets more and more powerful, as it understands our actions and intentions better than we might understand them ourselves, who is really steering the ship? Are we making our own choices, or are our choices being perfectly anticipated and guided for us? It's a question that really changes the way we think about the entire customer journey.